Many buildings which are not designed for earthquake proof have collapsed. Many people died. But those which are engineered properly, which are planned and designed by structural engineers, they have withstood the earthquake. Though that was the worst earthquake we have seen in India, particularly in urban scenario. Japan is the worst affected region in terms of earthquake. But still, they are the fastest growing economy. I consider the structural engineer of Burj Khalifa as my god. In fact, I met him 4 times. I had discussed. And Burj Khalifa is the most appealing structure because the developers of Burj Khalifa have conducted a competition for the design. And that design was given by structural engineers.
Quality is always cheaper in the long run.
I can proudly say Hyderabad is the first city to implement National Building Code provision. Then we shared that to other cities. At least in Hyderabad, if the permission is proper, that means GHMC, HMDA, DTCP. In rural areas, it should be DTCP. If these 3, any of the permission is there, that means they followed the norms properly. That is a planning failure actually. We have seen in 2020, October, 60% of Hyderabad was submerged. Who is the reason for that? So construction. 4th is the developer. Developer is responsible for the entire coordination and assuring that all these factors are considered. That means he should not allow planners or designers or constructors to deviate from the standards. That's where we documented the SOP. There are many sustainability features available. World trend is net zero. That means you cannot make zero carbon. So at least make it net zero. Now the latest research, and they have tested also, prototype is available, zero carbon reinforcement and zero carbon cement. And they have made the structures with that. 111 GO as a big impediment. In fact, the previous government has taken out that, but still now it's in question. But in case 111 goes, this will be the hottest stretch again next. Hyderabad by nature has the advantage of growing in all directions. Best overall Hyderabad city has got, and it was planned well because of the 8 lanes and the corridor that is left for future growth also. Next we are having RRR, Regional Ring Road. Regional Ring Road also will be closer in this stretch only. So that's why I feel this stretch will be future growth area for coming 10 years. Actually, it is very unfortunate. Many students are not opting for civil engineering. That is the biggest challenge for me as a professional also. Comfort in travel, best infrastructure you want. Who will build these things? It is a civil engineer. But we don't want to be civil engineer. It is just because, they think that we are not paid well.
On the second episodes of the Insights podcast by Giridhari Homes, today we have the legendary Mr. Surya Prakash Garu with us. For those of you who don't already know him, he has been in this industry for the last 35 years, practicing structural consulting, and he's one of the finest structural consultants India has ever produced. He's worked on various projects all over the world. Today, he's agreed to get on this podcast with us and shed some light on everything about structural consulting. So if you're someone who's interested to learn about structural consulting or a consumer in general, this podcast you wouldn't want to miss out. So let's dive right into it. So sir, for our viewers out there, what exactly is structural consultation and how does it contribute to better construction?
Yeah, it's a very good question, useful for the people. Many people really do not know what is structural engineering. They hear about architect, they hear about interiors, but structure is the very important element in any construction. Even if you want to erect a gate, you need a real structural engineer. Otherwise, by God's grace, sometimes it will be good, otherwise it will go bad. So it's always good to have structural consultation. In fact, to be precise, it is not just structural consultation, it is civil and structural consultation. Because structure means we talk about concrete, columns, beams, slab, and steel reinforcement in the columns, beams, and slabs, and foundation. In addition to that, we also decide where all columns have to be placed and what is the size of columns, what is the beam size and its placement, slab thickness. All this is decided by structural design, and we call it detailing.
Okay.
That means how to place the reinforcement. That is also decided by structure. In addition to that, civil engineering contributes in terms of excavation, how to excavate, how to support the foundation, what is the farm work, and what is the waterproofing. Nowadays, we are seeing weatherproofing,
Right.
waterproofing. Even paints are advertising as a weatherproofing. But actually, it is the job of a civil engineer who will decide about this. So, combination of civil and structural consultation will make the building safe, durable, stable, and livable.
So it ensures long-term durability of a building.
Exactly.
Okay. So does every building need to have structural consultation?
Definitely. Even a smallest, like if you have an arch, entrance arch, kaman in Hyderabad language, it needs a structural engineer design actually. But many people think that, or they do not know, they are ignorant about it. But sometimes you may provide more steel and more structural size than required. Sometimes you may put less, which is more dangerous. So in both the cases, only structural engineer can give the accurate what is required, size and reinforcement required, and make it stable and perform for the life of the structure. So every small building also, like an independent house, ground floor only, also needs a structural engineer, because I remember in Chennai, my early days of design job, we have done retrofitting of a house, just a ground floor building, which has settled in the soil. Cracks are there in the entire building, and we had to give the foundation strengthening for that and restore the structure. So, like that, it is always good to have a structural consultation for every. In my words, I always say every lakh of rupees spent on concrete and steel, better consult a engineer.
Great, sir. So as a customer, should this be a factor while purchasing a house? Should a customer actively check for if this project is being consulted by a structural consultant? Will it be better for me? Should a
Yeah,
consumer
that-
look out for that?
That will be a wiser choice of a customer if he verifies who is the structural engineer, whether for that project there is a certificate from a structural engineer. We call it stability certificate. Even this is required by GHMC, approving authorities like GHMC, DTCP, or HMDA also. So it is the structural engineer who studies the location of the building and its requirements, foundation requirements, everything they will verify, and they will design, they will plan sizes of the elements and all, and give the drawings, and also verifies during construction whether that construction is done as per the drawing or not, and also the site supervision. When it is there, it is the responsibility of the structural consultant to verify the quality, whether it is being followed or not. And finally, after construction, before fit for occupancy certificate is issued, structural engineer will give a certificate that this building is constructed as per the design. This is very, very essential. We have seen devastation in Gujarat, for example, post-earthquake, or devastation in Vizag, post-Hudhud, wind, earthquake, and sometimes we have seen due to fire, buildings collapsing. And so all these aspects are considered by structural consultant for any building, whether it is small, big, complicated, or complex. All the buildings require a structural engineer, and they will be healthy
In the long run.
long run.
So I have this little question about earthquake-proof buildings. As a child, I was very fascinated seeing in the news that some of the buildings can be built, making them earthquake-proof. So, what exactly is that process, sir, and how does it actually help? And I'm talking about magnitudes above 6, 7, will it actually help in the durability of the building?
Definitely, because we have, we call it technically seismic resistant buildings or earthquake proof buildings. Both are same, but we have a code for seismic resistant design. Bureau of Indian Standards has defined every type of building, how we have to consider the seismic loads. And even we have seen during earthquakes, roads failing. In Japan also recently we have seen, though the Japanese follow very meticulously the seismic resistant design. In Japan, they have almost reached a stage where it is like just a vibration, earthquake, and they'll get back to work. So not even interiors will be damaged. Whereas in India, we have seismic resistant code, which will assure the safety of the structure, stability of the structure, if it is designed by structural engineer as per the code. So earthquake-proof design is very, very essential in every part of the country. And particularly important buildings like communication buildings, hospital building, they require more, we have importance factor. Whereas normal residential buildings with normal importance factor also it is good, but we make it safe. We have seen in Gujarat earthquake, as I mentioned before, many buildings which are not designed for earthquake proof have collapsed. Many people died. But those which are engineered properly, which are planned and designed by structural engineers, they have withstood the earthquake. Though that was the worst earthquake we have seen in India, particularly in urban scenario, where magnitude is one thing and duration we call. 90 seconds duration earthquake was there. Because of that, damage was very extensive. We have seen in Gujarat. So, at least after seeing such experience, we should not ignore or take it easy of this earthquake effects on the building. So, even a simple ground floor building can kill people. We have seen people dying just carrying marble slab if it is not handled properly. So every aspect of building, whether it is flooring, ceiling, or some we have good lighting fixtures, anything can kill people. So unless we design the building for earthquake resistance and detail it for ductility, it is not safe to live in such buildings. So it's always good to consult a structural engineer for every building, particularly for earthquake also.
Earthquake. So in a country like Japan, where it's a very normal thing, you get up and you experience earthquakes every now and then. If you're talking about a very high magnitude, will making it earthquake proof actually help? Because in the news, I've recently in the news I've been reading that a lot of structures collapsed once the earthquake hits. So can you completely make it earthquake proof, or to an extent you can safeguard it?
No, to the knowledge that we have. For example, I had the opportunity to chair a session of earthquake resistant design in Singapore, where all 5 speakers are from Japan. So I had the opportunity to understand how Japanese handled earthquake resistant design and how Japan is the worst affected region in terms of earthquake. But still, they are the fastest growing economy, and they have recovered from even the worst disasters very fast because of their disaster management and also earthquake-proof design. There is a famous earthquake called Kobe earthquake in Japan, which happened around 1980. Till then, buildings in Japan were designed for earthquake and they were safely performing. But Kobe earthquake, there was devastation. Then immediately Japanese engineers studied the reason for the failure in spite of, despite the design being done for earthquake resistance. And they found that there is a new phenomenon of vertical acceleration.
Okay.
Normally, we design earthquake for horizontal acceleration. After Kobe earthquake, the entire world has realized we have to also consider the vertical acceleration. So in India also now we consider earthquake for vertical acceleration. But Japanese have found that, and they have retrofitted all the buildings in Japan to be safe for vertical acceleration also. So after that, most of the time, there are no damages, structural damages. But again, recent earthquake, we have seen some damages. Probably there will be a study on why it caused, because they don't design any building without considering earthquake resistance. But in spite of that, if some damage happened, means they will study what is the nature of that earthquake, and we factor in that. Because earthquake is something, it's a nature's fury actually. Very difficult to understand or predict when it will happen and how it will happen. Every earthquake is a lesson, even in our country. We have changed our earthquake code in our country twice after Gujarat earthquake. So like that, even with awareness, we are able to reduce the damage. If there is no awareness, we can't prevent the damage.
So being based in Hyderabad, should we be worried?
No. Fortunately, Hyderabad is on Deccan Plateau, and it's not earthquake risky zone as such.
Okay.
But still, we are seeing changes in the zone patterns. As I said, it's not predictable. We cannot be complacent. We have to consider the design and provide, but need not be worried.
That's peaceful to listen to.
Most worrisome in our country now is Delhi.
Delhi.
Yeah.
We keep hearing news about
high risk zone 4. And so far we are seeing all around Delhi, Bihar it was there, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat we have seen, Pakistan. All around earthquakes are happening. So we don't know when it will affect Delhi capital, but pray God, nothing should happen.
So speaking about earthquakes, Burj Khalifa all over the world is admired for its structural engineering excellence. So being a structural engineer, why is it admired all over the world, and can you break it down for us?
Yeah, it's really most favorite thing for me. I consider the structural engineer of Burj Khalifa as my god.
Oh wow.
In fact, I met him 4 times. I had the opportunity to attend technical presentations on Burj Khalifa. I visited Burj Khalifa construction thrice, and I had the opportunity to understand what it is, actually. Particularly with reference to earthquake, they considered to build the tallest tower in the world in Dubai, because Dubai is least earthquake prone. So there is no history of earthquakes happening in that Middle East region, number 1. And number 2 is wind also. Dubai has the least wind. Compared to our India, we have 55 meters per second or 200 kilometers per hour wind speeds. Whereas in Dubai, it is 33 meters per second. So 120 kilometers per hour. So that is the least possible wind. That is one advantage Dubai has. And the Burj Khalifa is the most appealing structure because the developers of Burj Khalifa have conducted a competition for the design. And that design was given by structural engineer, William Baker, who works for SOM, who is the partner in SOM. And he has, always there is beauty in simplicity. Like we know the best English is simplest sentence. Similarly, best structural engineering is simplest structural system. So buttressed core, it is called. He has chosen the strongest elements, stiff elements, placed in best possible way.
Foundation?
No, in the structure.
Okay.
Core we call, like where you have elevators, staircase, all that, ducts and all. That is the core of the building. And you have 3 limbs for Burj Khalifa. All the 3 limbs act as buttress to the core. So the resistance of the wind, to put in the words of the designer, in fact, when he visited Bangalore for a conference, one of the Times of India reporter asked, how do you design such a tall building? Because wind is the highest in such tall building. Then he answered, I confuse the wind. Really, he converted the highly technical word into a simple language. Like boxing, when you face the boxer, when he tries to hit, we escape. We confuse the opponent. Same way, structure also, in wind, we have different mechanisms, methods of reducing the effect of wind on structure. So he followed that in the structure. That also, always when you design naturally, it will be beautiful. Like healthiest person looks smartest, what we see.
Yeah.
You can always make, similarly, healthiest structure looks most aesthetic actually. That is, you don't find any extra concrete, no extra steel, and no fascinating or jingoistic elements in that building. So that structure looks so slim, sleek, and aesthetic. So you don't see any extra things coming out of the building, and it is the stronger base, and as you go up, it is the slim. That is structurally efficient and structurally meaningful for reducing the effect of wind on the structure. That's why it looks so aesthetic and beautiful.
So speaking about aesthetics, while our aim is to, as a structural consultant, while your aim is to make the building more safer and more durable for people, do you compromise on aesthetics? Because you just told us simplicity is aesthetics.
Yeah.
So sometimes while designing more complex structures, you might have to let go of aesthetics. I'm talking about visual aesthetics, not exactly the structural ones, but
Yeah.
visually.
It's a good thing, actually, what you asked. Now I'll take an analogy of a person. Suppose there is a very good, healthy person who has muscles well built, exactly what is required, not over too much, and then he wears any dress, a healthy body, he looks smart. Whereas to make an unhealthy person look smart, if you wear dress, still he cannot compete with the healthy person. This is the analogy. So what I would like to say is, I had such incidences where my client approaches architect for special structures first, and architect decides the external elevation and form and asks me to design. So that is second case of what analogy I have given. Unhealthy person wearing beautiful, costly dress. Now, there is a case where my client approaches first. I'll give the structural system, because that is important for a large span or tall structure. Anything, we decide the structural system and architect builds around
that. So first it's structural and then architect and then...
Or a good architect is also a good engineer always. So I had that experience also, working with good architect who will decide the entire structural system and gives us. So we'll just design for that system. So that will be the most beautiful. I don't name the structures. In Hyderabad itself, we have done residential buildings, office buildings, and commercial buildings, where all these three examples can be given.
Wow.
Healthy structure, costly elevation. Healthy structure, simple elevation. And unhealthy structure, because it is a costly elevation. Unhealthy, I don't mean unstable or... but it's not following the basic structural principles. Like nowadays, we are seeing transfer slabs, transfer girders, like parking. The same thing, as a structural engineer, I have never given a transfer slab because that's not healthy. But if you see that structure, you have a 3-meter concrete in the slab itself. It doesn't look nice. So you have to struggle to make it look aesthetic. Whereas if you decide the structural system, then your window positions, the residential building, if you design as residential, it will automatically look like residential. Otherwise, you try to plan like office and make it look like residential. That won't be good. So this is the easy way of understanding healthy structure and aesthetic look.
That is great
appeal.
breakdown, sir. So first structure and then aesthetics.
Yeah.
Great. So sir, having worked in this field for 30 years, almost 30 years now, 35 years, what is the most challenging project that you worked on, and can you break it down for us why it has been challenging and how you have solved that problem?
You want any structure or only building?
Something that you're really proud of. Can be anything.
Oh, there are many actually. But yeah, I'll give you the challenging things. First, most challenging that I have handled is a 60-meter communication tower. That is a hybrid structure, pipe and angles. They are already in operation across the country. And they wanted to improve the strength of that structure without affecting the operation. In fact, this work I have presented in international conference also. That's why I'm proud of, because structural fraternity in the world have accepted the concept that I have followed. That means without affecting, we have been given the strengthening. Like nowadays, we have beating heart surgery. In medicine, that is the most challenging. Beating heart surgery or small least interference like keyhole surgeries we have. They are the latest. Similarly, in structure, I have done similar like beating heart surgery and keyhole surgery kind of thing, which was accepted, and that was implemented for 60 towers in 3 months.
Wow.
Parallelly. So buildability, safety, and practical functional aspects all covered. That is one example. And another example is the commercial building, where we had to design parking floor height of 2.5 meters. Because that time we had the limitation on FAR, floor area ratio, in the commercial building. So I had to design the structure to accommodate car parking within 2.5 meters height. That means my slab thickness, I have to limit it to 180 mm, and spans are 8 meters and 14 meters. And in that I had to give the provision for services like firefighting, ventilation, all that. And as a team with architect, MEP consultant, structural consultant, we have done it. Because it was a rock cutting. If I increase 0.5 meter per floor, that means I have to increase my depth of excavation by another 2.5 meters, which will increase the cost by almost like 2.5 means 15,000 cubic meters, which would have costed 1.5 crores more. So we saved that and designed. At the same time, we had water seepage into that building. Excavation, when you do 20 meters deep excavation, there will be water entering like a well. So instead of struggling to contain the water, we filtered that water and brought into the building and used it for consumption. So there is no borewell, there is no municipal water connection for that building. We every day collect 6 lakh liters of treated water at no cost.
Oh.
No power is used. So these are the kind of challenges we face. And another project, we have designed tall buildings, 2 tall buildings in between podium, clubhouse. And we have designed the water pressure and all. Suddenly, client decided to plug the pressure relief well. And Hyderabad, we are seeing last 20 years, there are 6 peaks of rainfall. That means 100-year peak rainfall happened 6 times in 20 years. Whereas in previous 100 years, 20th century, 5 peaks in 100 years.
That's
Now,
an exponential.
Yeah, rainfall has increased so much, and so the water table also fluctuating. Whereas we are seeing water table going down, but during the rainy seasons it is going up. So it is exerting pressure on the structure. So unfortunately, because we have given the pressure relief well, that got filled for some usage, and suddenly there was a huge heavy rainfall, and the whole podium got lifted.
So do you think global warming can be one cause to
That's
this?
why I gave this example. Similar to global warming, unpredictable rainfall, unpredictable temperatures, these are all challenges for the structural engineer, which I also faced. I am no exception. But we restored the whole structure by giving relief to the pressure and with the simple treatment of the structure. So we didn't affect the high-rise buildings because of this. So these are all like this. We have challenges almost every week, some challenge or other. But these are things which I can recall immediately when you asked about my challenges. Very interesting. We love handling these challenges and solving. And one more I'll tell you. In Gujarat, I went as a volunteer engineer after the earthquake. And one building, 5-storied building, after the earthquake is leaning by 12 degrees. And there is a heritage structure just beside. If this is not dismantled properly, it will collapse onto the heritage building. It will damage. Heritage means, 100 years old, more than 100-year-old structure. So we have to save the heritage structure. At the same time, we have to dismantle without affecting that. So I was only structural engineer that time. Commissioner called me, requested me to give the sequence of dismantling. So I had given the army people who are there to follow the sequence. I have given the sequence and they have followed, and it collapsed other side. In fact, that collapse was recorded, and the Star News, they used to show that collapse also many times, that Gujarat earthquake building collapse, because you cannot capture collapse of the building so easily that time, 2001. So that is another challenge. As a structural engineer, we not only build proper structures, we also have to dismantle buildings, like what happened in Noida, Cochin. Tall buildings had to be dismantled. That's a huge engineering.
Right.
So there is a proper structural engineering for process followed dismantling or demolition also.
So do you think, sir, most challenging situations lead to the best innovations?
Yeah.
Can you highlight one of those innovations that has changed the world forever in terms of structural engineering?
Yeah, one is that restoration of the retrofitting of the tower, which I said. I have come up with a new structural concept, like plastic hinges being formed and stiffer member taking over the weaker member. That concept we have followed. And in fact, when we approached IIT and SCRC, they were not readily willing to approve that concept because it's not there anywhere. But after I presented in the international conference, that is accepted. Similarly, another interesting thing I did was aqueduct, a 5-meter cantilever structure which has cracked due to some settlement in the foundation, in the seashore. Due to sand and rainfall, unexpected event happened, and during construction it cracked. So we had to restore that. I followed the structural principle, basic structural principle, and I have advised my client to go ahead with the construction. Nothing will happen. That was questioned by structural SCRC, even scientists. But I challenged and took a challenge, and it worked. So if we are very clear in structural concepts, a structural engineer is not about using software or producing drawings, is not structural. It is the behavior. That's why I treat Burj Khalifa designer as my god, because it's only God who can create structures like human structures we are seeing. We take inspiration from animals, natural trees and all, and formulate the structural system. Similarly, structural engineer will have that intuition, and who has studied principles clearly will have the clarity. So any challenging thing we can solve. Always people ask me, is it possible to design this? It is possible to design any structure. But only thing is cost, buildability, can you build that? Economy, that is cost. And then performance rating, how well it can perform. This is the parameters which we have to consider while giving. So the design is possible for any type of structure. We only advise what is the best structure with all these parameters optimized.
So there is a builder called Mr. Hildani in Mumbai. I'm sure you know him.
Yeah, I know. I interacted with them.
Okay, that's great, sir. So I was watching one of his podcasts. He mentioned this one line that struck me really well. Quality is always cheaper in the long run.
Yeah, my guru told me, Krishnamurti garu, who is the like Bhishma Pitamaha in Hyderabad in consulting, structural consulting. His point is, does quality cost? You are saying cheaper. I am saying quality doesn't cost. In fact, if we don't follow the quality, it costs a lot. So quality should never be considered as a cost. Quality is part of the process. It is the basic minimum requirement in any construction to follow the quality control, quality assurance plan, and the quality audit, quality vigilance. All stages of quality we have to follow, and we should not factor it as an additional cost. It is part of the cost. Suppose concrete. When we buy concrete or when we produce concrete, all the tests required to be done on cement, aggregates, water, or during process, it is part of the production cost. Like whatever we are buying, our clothes or anything, there is a quality certified, Similarly, construction also shall be quality certified, and that certification cost shall be part of the cost. And here I come to your point actually. Many people think that some builders, I'm not saying anything, some builders may not follow all these procedures. They may compromise, I would say. They may compromise to save on the cost or reduce the cost. I don't say save. And we have, India economy is growing and it is developing. So many people, they prefer a lower cost, definitely, because of the affordability. And they want big house at lower cost. And we have seen the advertisement of Maruti, very popular. Our Indian scientists also, when the rocket is launched, they will ask about the fuel, how many kilometers it gives. Car buyers also, we buy Benz or BMW, but still we ask what is the mileage of the cost. When compared to the cost of the vehicle, fuel is nothing, but that is our mindset because we are a growing economy. So house buyer is no exception to that. It's in fact more. So, but now thanks to RERA, thanks to municipal bylaws that are insisting on stability. In fact, that I was part of that team in 2020 when there was 2000, year 2000, there were 2-3 failures in Hyderabad, building failures, small buildings only. Then we as an association met and gave recommendations to corporation. Corporation itself was not following the National Building Code guidelines. So we recommended. Then they implemented. It is actually, I can proudly say, Hyderabad is the first city to implement National Building Code provisions. Then we shared that to other cities. So in that National Building Code, it insists on supervising engineer, geotechnical engineer, structural engineer to be on the panel of the corporation, and they should certify the permission before the permission that they will take care of all these aspects, and they should certify after construction also that they have followed all the guidelines that are there. So that will assure the builder, occupier, end user. So the people who are buying the houses, now RERA number is a must, permission is a must. I have come across even my own, in my relations, when they come for advice while they are buying an apartment. The first question I ask is, what is the road width you have before the apartment? They say 20 feet. Then I immediately say that is not a proper construction. How you can get permission for 20 feet road, 5-storied building? That means they would have managed some panchayat or municipal. So this people have to be aware. At least in Hyderabad, if the permission is proper, that means GHMC, HMDA, DTCP. In rural areas, it should be DTCP. If these three, any of the permission is there, that means they followed the norms properly. So we have to check it. It is available online also. The permission number, if they type, whether that is genuine or not, they will know. Permission and then RERA. In RERA, they will ensure the delivery of the project. And nowadays, all good developers who are members of CREDI, who are members of TREDA, they follow all the norms. In fact, I authored the standard operating process book for CREDI members. Construction, every stage we have defined what are all the checks to be done, who are all the consultants to be employed, depending on the size of the project, and what is the approval process, handing over process. Everything is defined well. So,
does this process change with time, or is it standardized?
No, it will keep improving. We have documented what it is today. So tomorrow, more and more, like 3D printing may come, and precast may be order of the day. Like earlier, my one in 2006, I first did my one project in Hyderabad using formwork, aluminum formwork, wall and slab system. For even 5-storied building, we did to begin with. Today, it is order of the day. So in our SOP, we have to incorporate this. We have incorporated my one. Next, we are also talking about precast construction. Now, first in Hyderabad, the tallest precast is happening, 42-storied. So precast may take over next. Because of the cost of the labor, because of the quality assurance, all these aspects, there is advantage. People will go for it. Earlier, it was costing more. Machinery was costing more. Manpower was costing less. Today, manpower is costing more. Machinery is costing less. So, it will change.
Right, sir.
I also say that we are converting blue-collar jobs to white-collar jobs. In precast, there is more white-collar work. In conventional, we have more blue-collar work.
So, sir, as a structural consultant, how important is it to do regular inspections and checks? And should people, and also I would like to know, I want to ask you with an example. I bought this house that is 10 years old, and I see water, those cracks
Dampness.
everywhere. And then few other things as well. So as a consumer, when should I be worried? What are the worrying signs for me to consider going somewhere else if it risks my safety?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I conducted one training program to the student, civil engineering student, on building health checkup. Like we have regular health checkups for medical health checkups. We go to a dental doctor, we go to a cardiologist, we check our blood tests, urine tests, ultrasound, ECG, X-ray, 2D. Similar way for buildings also we can do. So any engineer who is trained or qualified will be able to tell looking at basic cracks, like a doctor who checks the pulse and will be able to tell. Similar way, buildings also we can identify the basic problem, whether it is livable or there is something called serviceability we call. First stage is serviceability. Means dampness comes under serviceability. Like if the building, either it was not designed for serviceability properly, or check was not done, or it was designed, detailed, but not executed as intended. So that is where the checks, periodic checks of the engineers comes into picture. As per National Building Code also, every building has to be checked for once in 5 years and certified. Like you have elevator, it requires safety certification, every elevator once in 5 years. So better take a certificate from a qualified engineer. In fact, we do it for corporate companies. There is something called seismic qualification we call. So every 5 years, because codes are changing,
Rules are changing.
building may deteriorate, soil performance we don't know due to the effects of climate, heavy excess rainfall, excess temperature. So keep changing, that climate parameters keep changing. So it's always good to go for a periodic check, every building owner. So that's my suggestion. Then you can be peaceful and confident about your building.
So if I see cracks on the walls and even on the outside of the building, so is that a worrying sign?
Depends on type of crack. As an engineer, we can always, by seeing the crack, we can say whether it is structural crack or shrinkage crack. We have creep cracks in the buildings. And some people call air crack or hair crack, in the plastering without proper curing, all these things. And also performance-based cracks, like waterproofing not done properly, water seeping into the concrete. There are so many parameters. So by proper inspection, testing, only we can say what is dangerous, what is not.
So while we're on the topic of cost cutting, as we were discussing earlier, what is value engineering, and how does it, as a structural consultant, does it give you a bias because it's about cost cutting, I'm assuming, and building the right materials in the right place?
No, first of all, I want to clarify to you.
Okay.
Value engineering is not cost cutting.
Okay.
Value engineering is enhancing the value for the money spent. I'll give you example.
Okay.
We have a thumb rule in any construction. A thumb rule is 1/3 of the cost goes into the structure, 1/3 of the cost goes into the finishes like flooring, plastering, paint, and 1/3 goes into the utilities, MEP, electrical, plumbing, elevators, all this external landscaping and all. So this is the thumb rule, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So we also arrive at the cost of construction from the sale price. Like now here you take 7,000 rupees is the selling price. That's what we see. We do the market survey. We assess what is the sellable rate for this project. If 7,000 is the sellable rate, you cannot start selling at 8,500. So we fix that 7,000. In that, land component, approval costs, and consultant's fee, all that is fixed, we take out, and balance is left for the construction. Finance cost, marketing cost, all that we have to take out. In the balance construction cost, then value engineering comes. How much shall I put it on finishes? How much shall I put it on utilities? How much on structure? Nowadays, amenities, community facilities and amenities is another factor actually. We are seeing developers advertising, I'm giving 100 amenities. Like that. And clubhouse area, how much area of clubhouse. Though there are norms, some as a selling point, unique selling point for that location, builders will be offering these factors. So value engineering is the one which will assess. In fact, I attended value engineering workshops in projects. 2 days, it runs for 2 days. We all sit, consultants, MEP, some projects we have some 16 consultants. Like facade lighting is one consultant, landscape, and transportation, circulation consultant, vertical circulation consultant, all are there. And the interior lighting, interior finishes. So all of us sit together along with the developer and the marketing team of the developer. We debate on each parameter that is offered to the buyer. And we decide that and try to get the best for that price, what is available. Like flooring, you tell me, I want to spend 100 rupees for the flooring. So in 100 rupees, we have 15 options. You can go for granite, you can go for marble, you can go for vitrified, you can go for combination of these. Nowadays, we have epoxy floorings, all this. So we discuss on pros and cons of each option and decide the best. That is value.
Okay. So how does this apply to construction, luxury construction projects? Because there you might not compromise on the price because you're making it high end. So how does this...
Even luxury segment, every buyer looks for value for the money they spend. It's not that even a luxury car buyer, he will not just spend the money without seeing the benefits, performance. Same in construction also. But only thing is, in affordable, we try to fix the construction cost at 1,600, 1,800, 2,500 like that, depending on number of floors and all that. In luxury segment, it starts at 3,000 and upward. It may go up to 4,500, 6,000 also, construction cost. So now, what is luxury? Let us look at it. How you call a particular segment luxury? I always say that in the luxury segment, we have large areas and so large spans. And we don't want, we want high floor height to be higher than normal. Normally, in affordable segment, we will start with 9 feet 8 inches also floor height. And in that, we try to manage the thickness. When we go to the luxury segment, you can design with 12.5 feet and give a clear height of 11 feet. Or you can go for 14 feet and still give 12 feet only. So what do you choose? Better to reduce the services. So when we reduce the space for services, the cost of services goes up. Whether it is air conditioning or firefighting, fire detection, fire alarm, these are all important elements in luxury. And the automation, building automation, and safety surveillance, access control. All these aspects are taken into account, and still we do the value engineering. Value engineering, as I said, is there for 1,500 rupees also per square feet and 4,000 rupees also. Always value engineering makes it look more than what we spend. So that is the purpose of value engineering. So luxury segment has its own challenges in terms of facilities, amenities within the building. Like you have a swimming pool within the flat. So that's a luxury component. So we have to design for the swimming pool, structure and water supply, water treatment, disposal of the used water. All this will happen in luxury segment. So facilities, finishes, high-end finishes. I forgot to mention in luxury segment, the biggest challenge in the structural engineering is going beyond the serviceability criteria. The codes give us serviceability criteria for normal construction. Suppose we are using Italian marble. The person who is using Italian marble doesn't want to see a crack in the joint. Even a 0.1 mm crack also they don't want to see. In fact, it practically happened to us. I did the audit of a building where the span is 100 feet. 100 feet span. Structural engineer has designed with normal criteria. Whereas the false ceiling is imported from Italy. And so the joints are not supposed to have any, it looks like a seamless. Similarly, Italian marble, very costly, 1,500 rupees per square feet Italian marble. But the structural engineer has designed the structure with normal thing. So what happens in 100 feet span, structural engineer is given this information about the finishes plan and utilities that are required. They will be factored into the design and serviceability criteria has to be more stringent. Similarly, construction tolerances. In the normal code gives construction tolerances of 5 mm, 10 mm allowable in construction variation. Whereas in luxury segment, we have to limit it, these tolerances. Like for example, in the old apartment construction, conventional formwork and column brickwork and all, we used to have a tolerance of 10 mm within the floor. With my one, already with the construction system itself, we are able to limit it to 2 mm tolerance. Because if it is beyond 2 mm, formwork won't fit itself. So formwork itself will assure the tolerance, limited tolerance. So like that in precast, it is furthermore stringent, 1 mm tolerance. It is possible. So similarly, depending on the luxury segment and its requirement, we should change from conventional systems to more assured systems, which will give us the serviceability criteria more stringent.
In the unfortunate event of a building failure, who takes the responsibility, the builder or the structural consultant?
Actually, we have something called forensic engineering. Like forensic audit in any crime, you have a forensic investigation. It's nothing but a legal way of finding the cause of crime or accident, that is the forensic. So in buildings also, we have a forensic audit to decide who is the reason for failure. Whether it is bad planning, bad design, bad detail, bad construction, or bad maintenance. These are the 5 causes that can be there, starting from planning to maintenance. So depending on the failure stage, if it is a planning stage, in fact, it is very rare for a failure to happen in planning stage, but still like a flood happening. That is a planning failure actually. Now, we have seen in 2020, October, 60% of Hyderabad was submerged. Who is the reason for that? It is the planner. That means you have to consider given location, there is something called FTL. So the planner should not allow construction to take place at below the flood level. You should have taken the higher level, or you should not plan basements in such area. People have planned basements in such areas. So we have to penalize the planner in such case, if that is the case. Next is for the given plan, okay, plan is wrong. But still, for the given plan, civil and structural engineer, it is responsibility to factor in all these aspects and design still prevent any failure. So it has crossed that also. If the failure has happened, that means he is also responsible. Third is the construction. For this flood case, construction won't come into picture. But quality, if it is bad, then it can collapse. So construction. Fourth is the developer. Developer is responsible for the entire coordination and assuring that all these factors are considered. That means he should not allow planners or designers or constructors to deviate from the standards. That's where we documented the SOP. So if everybody follows SOP, if the design basis report is there, and still there is a disaster, sometimes collapse. We are talking about beyond.
Yeah.
So that is an act of God or act of nature. See, excess rainfall, earthquake. I said Hyderabad is not earthquake prone, so we design as per the code. But still there can be an earthquake, God forbid. Then it's an act of God. So this is where the insurance or mitigation comes into picture. When there is an insurance, the people who are in the design will also be more careful. Because if there is a failure, if a particular consultant is fixed reason for insurance, still in India it's not so good. In US it is there. India it is just begun. Earlier there was no professional indemnity insurance in the professional indemnity. Yeah, professional indemnity insurance. So that was not there. Now we have. People are doing the insurance. But if it is proven that it's a design failure, then the developer or owner, occupier will get the claim, so that you can restore, you can repair the structure. Like cars, we have third-party insurance and all. In buildings also we have. PAL is very important because to mitigate that risk. There is risk. In fact, we are depending on multi-party activity, actually, construction and labor, which you cannot even do. All construction happens on site. So it is unless there is a professional indemnity insurance, you cannot claim if it is a failure of engineering or design. So that people should be aware. You have accident insurance, fire insurance, like that general insurance you have. That is if there is act of God. If there is an act of human error, then you can't claim that. So that you have to cover by professional.
So in most of the cases, it's collective failure.
It can be collective. It can be isolated also. Bad design also can. But in such cases, important projects, we have peer review. I design and some other senior person than me will check my design, because to err is human.
It's like a quality check.
Yeah, it's like a quality check. Design quality also will be checked. In fact, in major projects, we have an independent engineer, we have owner's engineer, we have a designer, we have the peer reviewer, we have value engineering consultants, we have cost consultants. All the multi-layer checking will be done in large projects. So to avoid any such incidents.
Great. So with sustainability becoming a priority, as a structural consultant, what is your role in making the product more eco-friendly?
Yeah, without knowing this question also, I told you before, in one of the project where we had the water seepage into the basement, we designed collection of the water, and we avoided lifelong pumping of water or treatment of water. So that is one of the sustainability features. In buildings, major sustainability feature is ventilation, air. That is the quality, And the next is water. These are the two important elements. Apart from that, operation and maintenance, O&M cost, that is a major thing, particularly in residential segment. So there are many sustainability features available for going for now net zero. World trend is net zero. That means you cannot make zero carbon.
Zero carbon emissions.
You cannot. So at least make it net zero. That means you contribute to saving carbon emission, but you have emission also. So the net is zero.
Right.
Net emission is zero.
You cover for the damage.
So, for example, you use the power. You need the power. You need the energy. But for that energy, find the sources of renewable energy with the least carbon emission. So you have carbon positive, you have carbon negative. Net should be zero. So that is when it comes to structure, my today's topic, the cement is the major carbon emitting and energy consuming. Embodied energy we call steel and cement. These two are the major elements. Now the latest research, and they have tested also, prototype is available, zero carbon reinforcement and zero carbon cement. They are available. And they have made the structures with that.
So are people adapting? Are builders adapting?
Yeah, no, it is still not widely available commercially, but it is available. But any initial thing will cost more. But till the such time, we have to only reduce consumption, steel and cement consumption, we have to reduce. So go for dry partitions, dry walls. In fact, in 2007, I conducted one workshop on mechanization in construction. That time, we were even trying to convince people to accept vitrified tiles. Hyderabad was not accepting flooring other than marble and windows other than wood, joinery, windows and doors. Now in Hyderabad, people are accepting engineered wood, which is more sustainable, and UPVC windows, and engineered wood doors or metallic doors even. So this is a very good change. People have turned out. See, any sustainability concepts come from acceptance of the user. So we have reusable structures. We have reduced quantity of structure that is possible nowadays.
So does this always mean cutting, compromising on the quality?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Anything, any solution that we come up with in the name of sustainability or any other thing, if it is not satisfying the basic quality rules, it's not an option.
Won't go ahead.
Any structural engineer won't recommend such option without satisfying the serviceability, safety, and durability. These three are the fundamental parameters for any engineer to be considered in the design.
So, sir, Kismatpur is a very evolving area day by day. A lot of people want to move in here, and a lot of real estate is happening here, a lot of construction projects. What is contributing to Kismatpur's real estate development?
In fact, this belt growth, I predicted about 20 years back. Because that was the time when ORR was conceptualized. And when ORR was conceptualized, we have Himayat Sagar and Usman Sagar, two lakes. So we have two options, ORR to go out of the lakes or inside the lakes. So if you see the map of Hyderabad, Shamshabad to financial district. That is the closest to center of city actually. That part of ORR. That means radial road, if you see, this is the shortest distance to ORR. And Hyderabad has a beautiful nature by city geography. It has 9 radial roads, out of which 5 are national highways and other 4 are state highways. And I predicted these expressways then only. Because if you study other cities in the world developed, you predict your city development also. So already we have PVNR, we have another towards Warangal. PVNR is contributing to faster access to Kismatpur actually. That's how I reached your office. When I Googled to reach your office, it is showing 40 minutes. I took PVNR, though longer, and ORR, I reached in 30 minutes. So 10 minutes saved. That is the beauty of Kismatpur actually, location-wise. So one is accessibility, another is connectivity. So when we talk about connectivity of Kismatpur, let us talk about airport, which is just 2 exits away. And when we talk about railway, Lingampalli, that is 4 exits away. So these are all the parameters for this stretch of financial district to airport. So this is in Hyderabad, this is the fastest growing segment. And then why Kismatpur in this stretch? We already seen Kokapet, Narsingi, and that Gachibowli heated up. They have gone up to 100 crores per acre. So now Kismatpur is the area where it is still affordable. It's not blown up like Manchirevla because of Reliance 100-storied building. It's hyped. So there is no hype for Kismatpur. So it's in the reach of people. And as you said, it's a forest area adding to that. Lakes, which will not give any water problem in future, groundwater and all that. And number 2 is fresh air, lung space, 6,000 acres of forest area. So these are all the connectivity, location, and serenity, natural air, water, all are contributing to the growth of this area. And it's not possible for this to grow like Kokapet, 100 stories and all, because of the affordability of the people. People are targeting for affordable rate. So it will be a good area with more lung space in future also.
While we're on the topic of predictions, sir, I want you to make a prediction of Hyderabad in the next 10 years. Which area will gain more traction? Where will real estate lie?
My next prediction, I'm doing already. So for the benefit of people, Shankarpalli to Shadnagar, beyond ORR, is the stretch next. Of course, we had 111 GO as a big impediment. In fact, the previous government has taken out that, but still now it's in question. As an engineer, this one, I always feel 111 should be there. But in case 111 goes, this will be the hottest stretch again next.
In the next 10 years.
Next 10 years. And subsequently, we have other directions also like east and southeast directions also, growth will be there. And north, like Medchal, you have a lot of greenery, that's direction also. But because of the proximity to employment, already created employment, we always see real estate growing towards employment, and next is education. These are the 2 major parameters driving the growth in real estate. We always, when you do the valuation also, land valuation, we consider these factors, employment and education. Healthcare comes next actually, proximity to healthcare. So these are the 3 major parameters If they are available, infrastructure will grow automatically and real estate will move in, more. And Hyderabad by nature has the advantage of growing in all directions. Because like Chennai or Mumbai, you have linear cities. They are linear cities. So whereas Hyderabad is a circular city, which all radial roads and ORR, best ORR Hyderabad city has got. And it was planned well because of the 8 lanes and the corridor that is left for future growth also. And so there is no way you can clutter that. And so next we are having RRR next, Regional Ring Road. So Regional Ring Road also will be closer in this stretch only. So that's why I feel this stretch will be future growth area for coming 10 years.
Great, sir. That's some great news.
Yeah, thank you.
So I would like to conclude this by asking you, for all the students watching our podcast out there who are aspiring to be structural consultants, what is that advice that you would like to give them and shower some light on them, sir?
Actually, it is very unfortunate. Many students are not opting for civil engineering. That is the biggest challenge for me as a professional also. And even if some students are opting for it, parents are conducting these condolence meetings for their children. That's very bad, actually. I would like to add here, every human being wants the best comforts and best growth. How do you define comfort and growth? Comfort in living, comfort in working, comfort in travel, and best infrastructure you want. Who will build these things? It is the civil engineers. But we don't want to be civil engineers. It is just because, they think that we are not paid well. I ask many students, how much you need to live basically? I know a place in Hyderabad as an elderly citizen, not as a beginning in the career. It is 6,500 rupees you can live per month. And in the same place, you have a job for 8,000 rupees. I don't mention details. That means you can live comfortably, satisfied in that place with a 3 square meal a day and a comfortable accommodation. So how much you want to earn? I don't say that aiming to earn is wrong, but I say that aiming to pursue passion should be the first priority. That passion should be to matter to 100% population. Healthcare won't matter to 100% population. There are so many people who never go to hospital. But there are no people who don't live in a house, who don't travel on a road, who don't need a power, who don't need a phone, no internet connection. It is the civil engineer who does all this. And so you must first aim to pursue that passion to make civil engineering better. If the computer science has not innovated, has not come up with all these solutions, machine learning, artificial intelligence, smartphone, smart apps, wouldn't have paid for it. But once we started using, that cost has come down. Similarly, civil engineering, if more intelligent people enter into this arena, it will also grow, it will be valued automatically because everybody needs best comfort. So first pursue civil engineering. This is my first message. Once you pursue civil engineering, my advice to them is civil engineer has to be physically fit because we walk, we go heights, during construction. So you have to be healthy, so play sports. And you have to be conscious about your surroundings, read newspaper. And you have to know the practical aspects, attend to labs. These are all the fundamental. And You need to have the knowledge, be attentive in the class. This is for the student. And once you do these 4 basic things, fundamental requirements of any student in civil engineering, then go for internship.
Do you provide any internships?
Yeah, we do provide internship. I have developed modules of mass internships also. I trained engineers to how to give internship to students. I have developed the formats. So it will help you to learn, because civil engineer is a practical guy. I must tell you here one example. 1,000 people asked me which branch of engineering they have to join. 999 I advised to join civil engineering. One guy, who is my nephew, because his brother is already in civil engineering, elder brother, I advised him to join electronics. He earns good salary, good life, everything, but he complains to me. You have done injustice to me. You have made everyone civil engineer, but not me. Because he says, he sees my WhatsApp messages. Every day something in construction I'll be doing, some photograph. Wherever I go in the country, I can show a structure designed by me. So that is the satisfaction a civil engineer can get. In Hyderabad, drive me in any street, I'll show you the building designed by me. So that is the satisfaction. Who else can get other than civil engineer? So he works in chip design, but he doesn't know what he's doing. It's not the money after a certain stage. That's what. It is the satisfaction. It is that complacence. I mean, yes, I have done, I have achieved. You should be able to see what you're doing physically as a human being. A building which we design, in 6 months you will see 20 floors. That is a big satisfaction. That I have designed, I contributed to that. No other profession will give that kind of satisfaction. So pursue civil engineering and be practical. This is what actually you should be able to see what you are doing, imagine what you have to do, and then be able to create that, see that happening practically, construction supervision. So it is only the civil engineer who is centric to entire infrastructure actually. You have electrical consultant, you have mechanical, you have electronics, automation, you have planning, interiors, everything. But civil engineering is core actually. Everything is built around that core of building. So that's very important, and you have to learn very well, understand all other aspects also. So that's how I could learn so many things apart from just structural engineering. I could learn everything because I interacted with best of architects, best of structural engineers, best of electrical engineers. So we coordinate all this. And we had the opportunity to interact with the best people, developers, chief ministers. So we understand their requirements and draft these DBRs and all. So that's how, as a human being, you are the happiest man, contented man. That is very important. And I share the knowledge. This is another easy to share. It's not a rocket science. It's not very difficult to explain. It only needs us to motivate people to learn. That's all. Then it is easy to learn, easy to master. So civil engineering, that is how is the best. And once you do the internships, I always say it is only profession where you can keep learning, you can keep using your knowledge every second of your consciousness. Like I'm sitting here, I keep observing all the interiors that are done. And I go for a holiday, I see what construction they have done. I travel on flight, I see the runway. I travel on car, I see the road, sides of the road, drainage, rivers. Every part that is visible to us is related to civil engineering, and you can keep learning, observing. So it is a 24/7 real learning and implementation of your knowledge.
Beautifully said. How does one apply for internship in your company?
In fact, we work through colleges. They can approach the head of the department. And normally in Hyderabad, Telangana, There is no college that don't know me.
Okay.
So because I work through TASK also, Telangana Academy of Skill and Knowledge. I have MOU with the TASK. I have MOU with many colleges, engineering colleges, so they can approach or Google Surya Prakash. I'm available, and I never said no to anyone.
That's great.
I planned depending on number of. At one point, I gave internship to about 600 students in one summer, and all worked, and we review all their work, and we have the format reporting, and I insist on 6 weeks of internship minimum in a given span. Many meaningful works are done by students. Other way also, actually. It's not only my credit, it is students who can deliver quite well. So there is advantage to interns, employers also. While student learns, employer also gains.
Benefits.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It was wonderful having you here today. We hope we can do another episode of podcast with you in the future.
Yeah, definitely.
And then gain more knowledge about this. It was wonderful having you here, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
If you want to see more educational and informational content like this, do follow Giridhari Homes on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. We'll keep coming back with better content every time. And we really hope that our struggle to make these episodes better for you will help you in making better informed decisions while purchasing your home and also educating you. This is Sharan signing off. See you next time.